Madam President, the issue we are addressing this week, global climate change, is a challenge with so many dimensions. Some are moral, some are economic, and some are scientific. I want to spend my first few minutes today talking about the science, because we cannot get the policy right unless we get the science right. I come from a state that believes in science. Minnesota is home to the Mayo Clinic and other great medical institutions. It helped launch the Green Revolution in agriculture half a century ago. Today it's home to a great research university in the University of Minnesota and high-tech companies like 3M and Medtronic. We have brought the world everything from the pacemaker to the Post-it note. My state believes in science. Over the last few days, we've heard a great deal of debate about the science of climate change. The debate, I believe, should be over. The facts are in, and the science is clear. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has concluded that the evidence of global warming is now unequivocal and apparent on every continent of our planet. It is plain in erratic weather patterns, in shrinking wildlife habitat, and the melting of the permafrost. Just last week, a new report commissioned by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and written by some of our top environmental researchers reached the same conclusion. They wrote, "There is robust scientific consensus that human-induced climate change is occurring. Observations show that climate change is impacting the nation's ecosystems in significant ways, and those altercations are very likely to accelerate in the future. The result? Ocean levels are rising, glaciers are melting, violent weather events are increasing. We've seen some recent ones in my state, and soon entire species will be threatened. This isn't just an environmental danger, it's also an economic danger." Now, first you can see what we would predict as we see increases in temperatures in this world. And I will add here that the estimates are that temperatures will go up from somewhere from 3 to 8 degrees in the next 100 years. And to put that in perspective, they got up 1 degree in the last 100 years, and we've already started to see changes. That doesn't sound like a lot to you. They've gone up only 5 degrees since the height of the Ice Age. And the predictions are in the next century by our own EPA, 3 to 8 degrees. Here we go as we look at the increases in temperature and what that might mean. A 1 degree increase would mean increasing mortality from heat waves, floods, and drought, some of which this is predicted by the 2020s. A 2 degree increase, millions of people face flooding risk every year. A 3 degree increase, the global production decreases, and so on and so on. I can tell you that in my state, Madam President, people are already seeing these changes. They've seen the economic impacts of these changes. Lake Superior is at its lowest levels in the last 80 years, and that's an average. It goes up and down a little. It went up a little, fortunately, this year. But overall, we've seen decreasing levels, so that overall it's at its lowest level in 80 years. That has impacted our barges. That has impacted the economy up there, because you need more barges because they are sinking lower. Why is that happening? Well, the water is melting. The ice is melting quicker, and so the water evaporates, and you see lower levels in places like Lake Superior. We also have seen changes for our ski resorts. Overall, when you look at the trends, we've seen decreasing snow, which means less money for them. And those are just some small examples of the economic costs of climate change. You can see that the insured and uninsured costs of weather-related climate change events are going up, and we are all paying the price. A problem so serious demands a serious response. And this is a chart showing the weather-related economic losses and how they have increased. You look at the decade from 1960 to 69, 70 to 79, 80 to 89, and then you look at the last 10 years. And these are economic losses. These are the amounts that are insured, and then this is your total of economic losses due to weather-related issues. A problem so serious as this demands a serious response. I believe that as a nation we're up to it. Now just look at a little history here. In the 1970s, after the first OPEC oil embargo caused world oil prices to quadruple, Congress passed the first CAFE standards, fuel economy standards, for the nation's cars and trucks. At first, the skeptics said that Congress had overreached and the CAFE standards were unrealistic. Then business put its mind to the challenge. Auto companies developed more efficient engines and lighter automotive components. They competed to meet customer demand for fuel-efficient cars. Recently, the National Academy of Science estimated that those CAFE standards have now saved our country 2.8 million barrels of oil per day and have cut oil consumption by 14% annually. And with the higher fuel economy standards we adopted last year, after many, many years of inaction to build on that initial CAFE standard, estimates are for an average family, depending on the price of gas, could save $1,000 a year. We will continue to save, but we must set those standards. So we have an example where when those standards were set, business went to the challenge and we actually saved money. That's not the only example. In 1987 and in 1992, the government adopted new energy efficiency standards for household appliances. Again, the American business community responded, competing to develop new technologies and energy-efficient products. I call it building a fridge to the next century. Soon you could walk into any appliance store and find efficient Energy Star refrigerators and air conditioners that give consumers even higher quality, but at much lower energy consumption. You look at this chart that we have on light bulbs, and you can see that if every American home replaced just one light bulb with an Energy Star qualified bulb, we could save more than $600 million in annual energy costs and prevent greenhouse gases equivalent to the emissions of more than 800,000 cars. Now we are starting to develop all kinds of technologies to save money for consumers and make big reductions in carbon emissions. The American Council for Energy Efficient Economy estimates that these higher energy efficient standards save consumers $50 billion from 1990 to 2000 and will cut U.S. electricity consumption by 6.5% within this decade.